Yeah, yeah. God. I am resident of Collinwood for YouTube. I don't know where I am anymore. But I am with Patrick McCray and Alan Gallant, no matter where I am. But we're here to review episode 2 of White House Plumbers. I'm going to start this with the opening question I had in mind. Was Liddy trying to always establish his importance and what he was doing with everybody?
Oh yeah,
Yes, until his death.
absolutely. He was an alpha male in a world where we figured out there's no such thing.
There's
Uh,
no such thing. It's a myth. Yeah.
but he would have been described as an alpha male of his time. Absolutely, no doubt about
It's kind of spinning in space
it. Yeah,
alone,
that's right.
thinking he was going to affect something and just
Right.
no.
Telling
No.
telling some burnout star how to kill someone with a pencil.
That's when he finally found himself.
Uh-huh.
You know, here's the thing, Jewel. Towards the end of his life, he was, besides hawking gold on television,
Mhm.
he was Liddy did a tour. He did a traveling touring lecture circuit with Timothy Leary, his
Yes.
former arch nemesis,
Hmm.
and they got along great.
Hmm.
Oh,
Daddy
wow.
G and Dr. Tim.
That's right.
They used to debate together, and apparently they got along
And both,
like a house of fire too. They were very
yeah, and both were
friendly.
heroes of mine growing
Yep.
up.
Yep. And after that, Liddy became a radio talk show host for many years. After that was over with, and that might have gone on for even more years, except for Leary got ill with cancer and passed away in the late '90s. But
Liddy got,
no,
yeah.
but Leary did.
Oh, Tim died in I think
97.
90, 90. It was I think it was 96.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah, allegedly he broadcast, or he was going to broadcast his
yeah.
euthanasia on
Yes.
the internet.
Yeah. I don't know if that actually happened or not. Probably not. But he did do like a video diary of his final, weeks or whatever. He did definitely
Yeah.
do that. But after that, Liddy went on to do his conservative or radically conservative talk show, I guess, for years.
Whatever it was.
It
But
was
of those post fairness doctrine people, his was the best.
he was more interesting than most. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It
Uh,
was researched, it was consistent,
mhm.
and it was authentically ideological.
And it
It
was,
was it,
and every once in a while he'd go off the reservation and become wildly wacky entertainment. Depending on
he
some.
loved it.
Yes,
Liddy liked to have fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, about, well, I'll get back to Liddy here in a minute. Hunt's daughter, she was in an accident. They talk about this on the show. Would she really just
Lisa.
have spurred moments like that? I mean,
I don't know how serious it was, but I think she did have problems. Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, this was pretty dramatic, but it also makes sense. I mean, if she had some brain damage of some kind, having mood swings and things like that certainly can be part of that.
I think one of the things that the inclusion of Lisa and the emphasis on Lisa in the series does is that it pulls off something very complex, which is it manages to show what a square kind of, you know, bullying jerk Howard Hunt can be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's never really abusive.
No,
He's very loving. He loves his kids a
he
lot.
does. He just
And
gets
considering his ideology, he puts up with a lot.
He does. He does. He gets frustrated and angry, but his first impulse is to walk away rather than like punch something. The only time
Yeah, he'll
he
break
up
down
to
the
now,
door.
the only thing he kicked the door in with no intention of harming her whatsoever. Just
That's
kicked the
right.
door in and moved back away from it and said, "There, she's okay."
And notice she doesn't really react as if he's going to harm her.
No.
yeah.
She reacts as someone who is
She's
never corporally punished.
oh, she's in the
You
tub
know,
with the thing over her head, a blanket over her head, going,
hot boxing.
"Hi."
Yeah, yeah, she's hot boxing.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, I like the character of Lisa because she does give off a really great sort of contrast, but also to give him personal trials that he's much better equipped to deal with, even though he has trouble dealing with it, than Liddy
Yes.
would ever be. Because Liddy has his kid
Oh,
kind of completely buffaloed into behaving a certain way, you know. And I think
yeah,
he
and
could be abusive, you know. I mean, you know, I don't think he had to actually raise his hand against his kids. He just all he had to do was look at them, and it was like, forget about it,
sure,
you know.
sure. But I think his look elicited a response because they respected him.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
there's that hilarious line. I forgot who's on the cover of Time. It's Ehrlichman or somebody.
Yeah.
Says, "What's this commie crap doing in our homes?" We subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the golden age. All the plumbers plus Nixon were on the cover of Time and Newsweek almost every damn week for about
Yeah.
years. It was pretty incredible. I remember that as a kid because I was in like when all this was happening. I was in like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I guess, something like that. And we had we didn't have a school library, but we had in the school we had subscriptions to a lot of these magazines and things, and Life magazine and Newsweek and Time and all of that stuff. And so we held mock elections, we held mock debates about all of this stuff, and it was you know, history as it happens kind of thing. And the teachers sensed that and understood it.
To tell you how square I was as a kid, man, I'll tell you, when I was in the late single digits, the biggest thing that week was seeing what was on the cover of Time.
Sure.
Flipped off that cover.
Yeah. My grandmother also had subscriptions to a lot of those, and we visited her regularly.
I bet she had magnificent fire hazards throughout her home.
No, she wasn't like that. She was very neat, actually. She was very.
Was she?
She was mentally and physically put together in terms of all of that. But she also had subscriptions to the big format ones, Saturday evening.
Oh yeah, Life and Look.
And Look. She had subscriptions, so I loved to look through those. They had great photo essays in them and so on.
And at my house, you know, if you ever needed a bucket of oily rags, of old oily rags, you always knew you could find them near the stacks of newspapers and Time magazines.
Right there next to the blowtorch, the Bunsen burner.
That's right. And the west-facing window.
Yes. Just to make sure it's plenty of fuel.
You know, that happened to Phil Donahue. He had this fantastic antique house, you know, just wonderful Victorian Wonderland mansion he was restoring, and a bloody pile of oily rags spontaneously combusted, and that was it.
Yeah, it does. I've actually reached into a pile of oily rags before and damn near burned my hand. They were getting so hot.
Really?
Yeah, they went away fast. They got soaked in water and they were taken out of this garage. It was a friend of mine, actually, and we were just screwing around. Noticed that this thing was giving off heat.
Yeah, they really. I do like how they emphasized family in this episode, which was really an interesting plot to have in the movie. But I also love how the actor they chose for John Mitchell, really good actor.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. And I love how he's just sitting there listening to all the ideas they have, and they have all these cards, and I'm like,
he tells them to burn
the posters.
Yeah,
burn them. Don't give them to someone. Take them
Emerald
home and burn them yourself.
yeah.
Don't give them to someone else.
And Liddy's mustache goes. Brrr.
It does. But you know what? I really respected how Liddy very dutifully went home and did it. He had respect for authority.
Yep, he did.
He's stirred it up.
Yeah, and throwing it in the burn barrel. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was nostalgic for summer nights in Maine. He was burning in a burn barrel.
I loved the sort of early Bob Peak era poster art.
Yeah, very cool.
That was a nice detail.
Nice touch. Yeah, because that style, yeah, that peak style was very, very popular. And there were several artists that were doing stuff that was close to that at that time in the 60s and early 70s. It was 71, I guess, is when this one's taking place.
Yeah.
71.
Yeah.
Summer of 71.
I was looking at like how close they got the look of the people with who they cast it, and
it's uncanny, actually.
They do not screw around.
Kathleen Turner is I mean, they made her a dead ringer for this one.
Yeah, no kidding.
And she was absolutely, I mean, I mean, it's serious, but it's also like hilarious. She balanced that out perfectly.
Jewel, if you ever want to see a more serious movie that also covers this era and these people, a lot of the same characters, Oliver Stone's Nixon, which I think is a masterpiece. I think it's one of his best movies.
It is.
And Ed Harris plays Howard Hunt, a very serious, pretty scary Howard Hunt.
Yes, but Ed Harris is very good at that.
Yes.
It is. Well, another movie I saw, the first movie I saw about this, we saw it in history class, was All the King's Men.
Oh, All the President's Men?
All the President's Men,
Yeah, that's a great, that's the whole story about how that broke in the Washington Post. So
yeah.
Now I told you I got a weird connection to that, vaguely. My father was bunkmates in the Navy on a ship with Bob Woodward. And they're like best pals, and they handled various pretty high level government codes and stuff like that. And they're very good friends.
That's weird because he ended up becoming. I had a friend that ended up becoming a investigative journalist who was also had crypto clearance in the military.
Really?
Yeah, because of the things that apparently. I mean, he couldn't even talk about half the stuff, but apparently the things that you see when you have crypto clearance make you question stuff out in the real world.
I'll tell you, my father's always been very tight-lipped about that. He is, if there were things that he questioned in the world, he was good enough to not even intimate that there were things to question. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was one of the many things I admire about him is that level of professionalism.
Well, when my friend Joe, who's since passed away, when he got out of the military, he taught for a couple of years, and then he was a political cartoonist, and he got a job as a political cartoonist, and they ended up putting him on the city hall beat, and then from that he ended up doing an expose on the local army outpost near Roanoke, Virginia, which is where he was working at the Roanoke Times. So it just kind of sort of blossomed, as it were, as these things sometimes do.
Yeah. Now, when they show him burning that stuff, and were the burn barrels really that close to somebody's house back in the day?
Oh, it would be in the backyard or whatever, on the back patio or something like that. It'd be far enough away from the house.
And Joel, they used to burn leaves in the front lawn.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
You used to be able to get permits to do that. Sometimes you still can. Depends on the neighborhood. But a lot of times now, if you live in town, like they probably lived in Georgetown or in Fairfax, you probably couldn't get a permit to burn anymore.
Yeah. I do remember, like when I was, because where I lived, it's different where I was growing up.
Yeah.
You had to have your burn barrel like further away from your house. You had to have it like so much of a distance or whatever.
Yeah, you have to understand this is over 50 years ago, though.
No, right. No.
It was a little bit more lax, but yeah, it's understandable that the coding would be a little bit more safety conscious now than it was then.
Yeah. I really like how too. When they're, I like the look of the cars. They got the cars exactly right. If you've ever seen John Carpenter's Halloween, they nailed the cars.
Oh yeah, in this movie. You have to. Otherwise, it'll stick out like a sore thumb if you don't have the right era.
Especially the cop cars too. We saw some 70s cop cars in this episode.
Yep,
and they looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really good.
Certain eras use certain cars. They used, I don't know if they were using the Plymouth Furies at this point in time or not, but that was one of the kinds of cop cars. Later in the 80s, it was like Crown
Is the Crown Vic?
Yeah, everything was a Crown Vic. And
I still really resent people who own white Crown Vics. Anytime they're behind me,
especially if they've got a rack on top of the car that looks like a bubble machine.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Really interesting. I like how they go to the one woman's house in this episode, and she's got the kitchen knife. It's like, "Who are you?" And he said, "Libby's in disguise."
That's the woman who was the ITT lobbyist. That was real. I mean, that was totally real. They literally, faked her heart attack and spirited her off to Colorado to get her out of the Washington Beltway. They did all of that stuff. That was all real. The little news clips that they showed were real too, except for they superimposed like Kathleen Turner's face as person instead of the real person. But she looked so close. I mean, it was amazing.
Speaking of Kathleen Turner, hang on, didn't Michael Douglas die? Did I see something about Michael Douglas dying?
No,
it might have just been a weird internet rumor.
It might have been. I know Marianne Faithfull died today.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. That kind of chews. But Michael Douglas, yeah. He also, do you know that they did a reunion show? They did the Kazminski method, where he's he's an acting teacher.
Yeah, I know the show. Yeah,
and she's in that for one of.
But didn't die today.
No,
no, he didn't.
No, I'm not seeing anything here.
Okay, good.
He is 80 this year. Yeah, he'll be 81 this September, so he's 80.
Yeah.
So
he
had a close call with I don't know what kind of, I think he had cancer or something at one point. Lost a whole bunch of weight and everything else.
Yeah.
But seems to have beaten that.
Good.
Did you guys ever see the Metallica video, The Memory Remains? Marianne Faithfull is in it.
Is in it. Yes, I've seen a clip of that. I have seen a clip of that. She became sort of an alt icon in her later years, particularly for people that only knew her from about 1980 on, when she completely changed her image. And her voice had lowered and everything else. And she had come back from a decade-long addiction. She was addicted to heroin and alcohol and everything else you can think of, and she came back from that. So she really actually outlived her lifestyle in a lot of ways. She lived to be 78. But she was still recording up until just a couple of years ago. I know that for sure. 21, I think, was the last time she did an album.
What did you guys think of John Mitchell here in this episode?
I know that actor, but I can't remember his name, and I missed it in the credits. But he has the appropriate sort of tossed away gravitas. In other words, you have power, but you never have to show it. You just have it. It's there. And he played that very well. And that was Mitchell was like that. He was very self-assured. When he was wrong, he was right in his own mind. That sort of thing. So I thought the guy did a fantastic job.
I'll tell you where I most know him from. He was in the one Zodiac movie where they told it from the media standpoint. With Robert Downey Jr. was
great. That's Zodiac. Yeah,
he played Arthur Lee Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking nailed that part.
He did. You're right.
Who's Arthur Lee Allen?
He was accused of being the Zodiac.
He has the highest probability of being the Zodiac killer in terms of any of the suspects that they had. He passed away a number of years ago, though, and kind of that's it. That kind of went.
I always thought it was. I had heard it was Bob Keeshan.
before or after the fake mustache?
During.
I thought it, but Mr. Moose was never there, so that's why. And Mr. Green Jeans gave him an alibi, so it's
These
over.
are figures that he would later explain told him to do various things, but they were never really around.
No. Oh well, he and Mr. Green Jeans had something was happening there. It was something was happening in Mr. Green Jeans' green bib there.
There was.
What did you guys think of the use of family in this movie? I thought it was really good.
Use of
Great.
family?
Yeah, they used.
Yeah.
It totally humanizes these guys. It takes them out of the realm of being cartoon characters.
Yeah.
And puts them in firmly in a type of reality. I mean, it's fairly close to reality.
Fran is getting smarter, and Fran is Liddy's wife, I believe. She's being allowed to be smarter and smarter. She's starting to ridicule him for his weird German fetish.
Yes.
Yeah, so much for the master race.
Yeah.
Things like that,
Yeah.
which I think is great. And
It's
Judy Greer
hilarious.
deserves it.
She's fantastic anyway. She's perfect. She's smiling her way through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Good wife of Gilead, except she's got some rapier wit going on there.
Yeah.
But whatever. We're approving one of the plans that you laid out for us. So,
yeah, only one.
Only one. Oh my God.
They're having a great time, and all of a sudden, no. Sorry. We're only giving you garnet or whatever it was.
Was the hospital they showed, was that on location? Was that in Colorado they were shooting?
I think it was, I'm not sure if it was a mock-up or not, to be honest with you, or whether they just went there and shot the outside of it. And, it's probably not the same hospital as it was then. I mean, we're talking 50 plus years. But so I'm not sure. They may have mocked it up and just, picked another building that looked like it and stuck the lettering on the outside of the building. But it's a close match.
They shot well in this with the hospital scene, that you get the tight corridors, the hallways, people running through it. I thought they did a really good job of how they used their camera work in this episode too.
That's one of the things about whenever Mitchell's on too. They did some Dan Curtis angles with Mitchell to make him look and more authoritative. That worked quite nicely.
Especially when he's looking at all posters. He's just got this look like, fucking kill me.
You guys really, kill me or kill you.
It's like, I was literally, when I was watching this episode, I was waiting for him to just order their death. Like,
it's like, take these guys out back.
Yes.
The beauty of this is that Liddy, the plans get increasingly bizarre.
Yes.
I mean, they start out weird, and then they just get weirder and weirder. And the weirder they get, the more quiet and self-satisfied his confidence in them is.
Yes. It's like I am a genius.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I like how they talk, how they showed too them taking the woman to Denver too. They got her in the wheelchair. They got her on the oxygen. It's like the absurdity of it all is the insanity part of it.
And meanwhile, he's tossing her a carton of Marlboro Reds.
Yeah, those cigarettes. Yeah. And she puts them underneath the blanket. Like, no big deal here. No big deal.
The first thing I thought as an ex-smoker when he tossed to the Marlboro Reds is, where's the matches? Where are the matches?
Well,
here's the thing. She had like a cigarette too on her before that. She probably had some matches on her too.
It was just gonna be one long chain.
Yeah, like both my grandmothers were smokers, and they would constantly carry lighters or matches on them.
Sure.
There's people that come into the store. They're constantly buying. They buy cigarettes, like a couple packs every day, and every time they come in there, they're buying another lighter.
Yeah.
Like, and not just like the little ones. They're buying like the bigger ones. I'm like, dude, you just want your lighter like.
I mean, I'm looking at at least 3 lighters in front of me.
There you go. There you go. Nothing wrong with having more lighters.
You got to torch that charcoal with something, man. That's
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
There you go. There you go.
The throbbing lighter of doom. There it is.
Yeah.
Nice blue flame, too.
Her lighters, she got that one that was like freaking 8 inches long.
I'm sorry, I only heard part of that.
The 8 inches long part. Yeah.
8 inches long. Yeah.
What about Jules? What?
No, her friend Kayla McCray bought she kept losing her lighter.
She kept losing her lighters, so she bought one of the great big, huge, like over
Yeah,
exaggerated.
like 8 inches long.
It looked like
lighter.
a regular lighter. It was like 8 or 9 inches long. It was like huge.
Was it thick?
Down the aisle that you could go down and buy cigarettes.
Was it what?
Was it girthy?
Was it girthy?
No, it was
8 inches and on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, baby.
Julie's got it
Earth of
right.
the
Yeah,
nation.
she knows.
Oh my god.
More than you know.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
science behind that.
Yes.
So, since we're talking White House plumbers, we have to plumb the depths every once in a
Yeah.
What we do?
while. That's right. We
Yes.
really do that.
I really love how they're looking at the they're looking at the building, the hotel, if you will, across the. They're standing there like they chose this plan to bug the DNC. Really, like out of all the plans they chose,
Yeah. It was the cheapest.
it was.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was. They got it. They got them down to like $250,000.
They're on a budget, hon.
That they were in this too. They talked about that in this
They're
episode.
on a budget.
Yeah.
You don't know what a budget is?
Well, that's the thing. That's the funny part too. That's what the previous episode they're talking about. They're talking about millions of dollars, and then this episode it's like, no, we're on a budget. We can't spend that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
They burned through that $1 million real fast.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess you might do it through faster.
You could.
Like, let's go.
So what did you guys think of this episode? Sorry if I'm
It was
not.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, this makes me really happy that this show was brought up, and that you went with it. Every episode's a delight. I was sorry that they didn't.
So happy that I left you by it.
Yes.
And thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
It's
cool. It's a great show.
Yeah, it's a great show, and it's pretty cheap for what it is. It's a really good buy for the kind of quality that this little 5-episode series is. And
it takes me back to TV of that era that would have been this length, where, by God, if they did a miniseries, it was not throwaway. It was a big deal, and they put every gun they could into it.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we'll ever see like a mini series anymore done?
Well, we do. We see them all the time.
Yeah.
It's the 6-episode TV series.
Yeah.
Well, on HBO. No, I mean we would see them on basic cable, not necessarily HBO. Do you think?
You mean on national television, like
yeah,
maybe, except like Netflix and HBO are doing them. So
and they do them with no rating restrictions,
right?
Yeah.
And so there's just more creativity they can put into. I mean, I just on principle, I refuse to watch the new Shogun because of loyalty I have to the year 1980.
Well, yeah,
but I hear it's great.
I hear it's great too, but the original was also kind of a fantastic benchmark of television.
It really was. And I'm very loyal to that.
It was like 19, I think, when that came out, 19 or 20. So
I was furious when I bought Roots, and apparently this is a Roots remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made a Roots remake, and I was wait a minute, where's Ed Asner? I'm out of here.
Seriously, I mean, all the villains are dead. Why are we making a remake?
Favorite.
You tell me you couldn't get a CGI Ed Asner?
Yeah.
Lazy.
Favorite scene from the episode today?
I think probably the posters. That sequence where he's unleashing his bizarre plans, or the Kathleen Turner stuff.
Yeah.
It's more a Liddy episode than a Hunt episode.
It is. They did a really good. when Liddy, obviously mine is when Liddy walks out the door, he's going to go kill the guy. He
The
takes it
Beckett,
seriously.
the Beckett
Yeah,
moment.
he takes it seriously. I'm like, I howled at that. I'm like, that's fun.
Yeah.
But I really admired Liddy's grit in dealing with him when he called him off. And as ludicrous and self-important as Liddy is in that scene, I admired his respect for what he had committed to
Mm-hmm.
as the person he was going to be. And it was, do not ask me to
Right.
do so. Don't mention that. Don't toy around with that.
Yep.
That's something I remember most about learning about this, that the people involved were committed to the project. And
totally.
seeing that here in this episode, it's like, okay, I see what my teacher was talking about, my former teacher was talking about.
Yeah, there are layers here. It's also, it's an opportunity, especially for Howard Hunt, to revitalize his career. It's an opportunity for Liddy to vindicate himself as a patriot, more than anything else. He's insanely serious about that. So yeah, I mean, there's layers to this as well, and Hunt is also dealing with his family and making, his wife is kind of poo-pooing his schemes at this point a little bit. So there's all sorts of other stuff going on. So there's a lot riding on it personally as well as professionally for these guys. Even as crazy as it gets, that's still true.
Is there anything you guys want to add about this episode?
No, it's very strong. I'm
We are
looking forward to the next
We're
one.
on uphill climb right now.
Yeah,
That's where we're going.
yeah. When do you want to do the next one?
Saturday. I have a video Friday night.
Okay, Saturday it is.
Okay, so I'll see you guys Saturday and Sunday for the next videos. Next Saturday, would you guys, with me and Butch, would you guys want to do Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Oh, heck
At
yeah.
9:30.
Sure, I've never seen it.
Yeah, just when we get, as we get closer, remind me of the schedule and that we're going to jump into it a little earlier.
You might want to mention me and him though to Butch and see how he responds to that.
Yeah. I may have to come in a couple minutes late. My show that I am doing gets out about that time, but that doesn't. I can also have my laptop at work.
I actually own the Blu-ray of it. I've seen it before many times. I'm going to rewatch it before that happens.
Me and him?
No, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. I have the Blu-ray of it. It's really good. It was Robert Redford and Paul Newman's first team up before they did this thing.
It is.
Yeah, Wayne Goldman.
It's got a great cast.
Yeah.
Catherine Ross.
Yeah.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Yeah.
I've learned about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in history class. Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are all sorts of theories about whether or not they escaped from
And they did.
Bolivia.
History. Yeah. It's full of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it makes as much sense as anything that they would have fashioned their own deaths out of legend to keep from being pursued, and it's quite possible. So,
all right, guys, I'll see you Saturday night.
All right.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Okay, bye.